Welcome to the Sons of UCF, a unique UCF podcast experience. Now, say hello to Adam and Mike.
All right, welcome into a special edition of the Sons of UCF show. This is a preview, a smaller edition. We'll get to that in just a second. I'm Adam, and as always, I've got UCF Mike with me. Mike, game week. We're so close. How are you doing?
I'm doing great, man. Just counting down the hours now to kickoff. Getting excited. That's the one good thing about a noon kickoff is you don't have to wait all day on Saturday for the game to start. So I'll be ready. Yeah,
Mike will be ready. Hopefully UCF will be ready as well. So we're going to do a couple of things here. We're going to give you a little bit of nuggets, a little bit of insight on the ECU football program as best as we can. They have not played a game this year, so it's tough to really give you anything definitive. We've got a special guest coming up here in just a few minutes, so hopefully we'll give us some more insight and some of you guys really enjoy hearing from. So not our traditional show, a smaller show, a sort of a mini episode, Mike. So we need a catchy name for this. So I'm gonna drop this catchy name. So some people call their shows extra or overtime or special edition. These mini shows, however often we do these, Sons of UCF, Partly Sonny.
I love the idea. Because, frankly, I came up with it this morning. But I was trying to think of something with the word sun in it, sunny side up. I don't know. But Partly Sonny just hit me. And I texted it to you. You said you liked it, so we're rolling with it.
So this is welcome to Sons of UCF, the Partly Sonny edition for ECU. So Mike and I are going to give you some insight on ECU as best we can, and we will go from there. A couple of particulars, so some things that we can update you on as the week has dragged on. So you heard our full show on Tuesday. If you have not, make sure you find that wherever you get your podcast. You can search Sons of UCF. We're on all those major platforms. We didn't have a lot of clarity on Tuesday, Mike, about transfers, about injured players, and here we are at the end of the week. And guess what?
No updates.
We don't have any transparency in that yet either.
I'm not surprised at all, especially on the injury front. With Heupel, you don't expect him to reveal anything, not to East Carolina, and not to the fans, and probably not even to Mrs. Heupel.
Mrs. H has gotten frozen out. So what we do know is, again, there's really four key guys that were dealing with injuries. Trey Nixon with what we think is a collarbone / maybe a shoulder. Greg McCrae, which looked like a lower leg injury, could have been knee, could have been ankle. Parker Boudreaux had a concussion, and then Antoine Collier with a shoulder. We don't know how any of those individuals are doing, so I don't know what to expect. I think that prevailing thought is that you will not see Trey Nixon. Sounded like most folks were thinking his injury was just a tad more serious than some of the other guys. But I believe it was Anthony Tucker dropped that Greg McCrae has been practicing all week, so that would lead you to think he's playing. But we don't have clarity on those guys either, Mike. Does any of that concern you going into this game?
Well, I'm concerned about Trey Nixon long term. For this particular game, no, I'm not really concerned. We should be able to beat these guys with or without those four names you mentioned. We have a big stable of running backs ready to go. We'll know how healthy McCrae is right away, because if he's not starting, then we obviously know the injury is a little more serious. But it also could be just resting him in a week where we probably don't need him to beat East Carolina, and we can take care of them with Bentavious Thompson and the rest of the guys back there.
Yeah, and maybe he's on a pitch count, Mike. He might be out there, but not going to get a lot of carries, so maybe he's going to be on a pinch count. So you never know, I guess, what you're going to get there. The Collier injury is another one that's a bit of a concern. Obviously, the secondary is already pretty young, starting true freshman cornerback Corey Thornton. Zamari Maxwell is still kind of a young player. Obviously, Richie Grant and Aaron Robinson have some experience, but the backup level guys, for that spot, Dylan Lester, Jermaine McMillan, Derek Gaines, those guys haven't played a ton. This is a good spot where a transfer, maybe a kid with a little bit more seasoning, Devad Wilson might help, but we don't know about transfers either, Mike. So Devad Wilson was on his Instagram this weekend, or this week rather, maybe it was his Snapchat. I can't keep track of all those, and he was kind of dancing around, seemed to be indicating maybe he was going to be eligible and maybe he'd be playing, but nothing formal came out. I think he kind of walked that back a little bit. So Devad Wilson, Jaden Francois, Deontay Marks, RJ Harvey. As of Thursday's Heupel press conference, no updates on those guys either.
And that wouldn't be something, if they were known to be eligible, Heupel, I would think, would just say, okay, yeah, those guys are playing. Maybe we're still waiting on word from those guys. It's a little weird, especially in this season where it seems like it should be very easy to get eligibility for transfers, that we're waiting now even after the season was delayed a couple weeks, even now a couple more weeks into the season. So hopefully we hear a word on those guys soon. Hopefully we'll see them out there on Saturday.
Yeah, that would be great. I guess we'll find out as we get closer, Mike. And speaking of Saturday, another big change. I know you're excited about this. The game was previously scheduled to be on ESPN Plus. There were some concerns. There were some problems with the Notre Dame Wake Forest game. That game had to be postponed. And so we are back in the prime spot, baby. 12 noon, high noon, ABC, Mike. How pleased are you that you don't have to shell out $5 for ESPN Plus?
I am pumped because I wasn't even going to shell out the $5. I was going to do the free week because who knows if we were going to have another game on that platform this year. So I was going to do the free week trial. I was going to do it on Friday night just to make sure it worked properly and everything. But now I don't even have to do that. ABC again. And the other great thing about that is you can still listen to the Mark Daniels call if you want to, because there won't be that whole mix up with the radio, the online stuff. You can't really do games like that, but you have that option now if you want to do that.
Well, depending upon how you feel about our guest this week, you might not want to do that. So let's not throw that out just yet. But obviously, there's tons of advantages to having the game on ABC. I think it was Eric Lopez from Black and Gold Banneret posted that UCF, I think, drew like a 3 million viewership number for the Georgia Tech game, which is it's a pretty big number, Mike. I mean, that's a pretty solid rating overall.
Yeah, I believe it's the largest number we've done in a while, bigger than even the Pittsburgh game last year, which was at the same time slot, 3:30 on ABC. Probably our biggest game since the Fiesta Bowl against LSU, I would think.
Yeah.
Or even the Peach Bowl.
Yeah, you're probably right. Probably slightly higher than the Gasparilla Bowl, I assume. So I mean, back-to-back games. I mean, a lot of people are kind of saying, hey, this is further evidence that UCF is a draw, that UCF is a team that will rate. Obviously we don't know that to be factual. Maybe we can find out from our guest this week if that's true or not. But it certainly bodes well for the brand to have UCF back out there. And listen, we had eyeballs, and eyeballs that watched us for Georgia Tech even throughout the week have continued to sing the praises of UCF. So it can't hurt to have another big high profile slot on the big stage on the big network.
That's right. And the ratings may not be as high this week. One, we're playing East Carolina instead of Georgia Tech. And two, the SEC is back around this week too. The Gators will be playing at the same time. So don't expect a 3 million number this week, especially once we're blowing these guys out in the second half.
Well, let's talk about these guys, Mike. These guys would be the East Carolina Pirates, who, for those of you who are challenged geographically, turns out they're in North Carolina, not South Carolina. So don't make that mistake as you're looking these guys up. Mike, East Carolina is a team that, again, they have not played a game this season. They early on had some concerns with the virus, and so they were not practicing for a while. I think they had a game postponed, if I have that right. So they are a team that we don't know much about. What we do know is you look at the projections of some of the preseason prognostications, for whatever those are worth. And ECU was, somewhere in that 8, 9, 10, and a handful of guys even had them finishing 11th, which is dead last, by the way, in the American Conference. So don't quite yet know what to expect from an ECU team that's rolling in, Mike, because they haven't played anything.
Well, that's basing all the stuff on last year. They basically were the last place team if it wasn't for UConn last year, which was their one win in the conference. They had 4 wins overall. They went 4-8. The other 3 teams they beat last year, Gardner-Webb, William and Mary.
Both of them?
And and counted as one win, and Old Dominion. So those are their 4 wins. If you add in UConn, they were 1-7 in the AAC. But, this is their second year now under head coach Mike Houston. Came over from James Madison, where he won a FCS championship in 2016. So he can coach football. Who knows what he can do with this team? But we've seen coaches, and UCF fans know firsthand what coaches can do in a second year. Just look at Scott Frost going from 6-6 to 13-0, and go back to O'Leary. His very first year, we went 0-11. The next year, we're in the conference championship game. We win the East, and we go to the Hawaii Bowl, first bowl game in school history. So it is possible for schools to make a big jump from year 1 to year 2.
Oh wow! Are you projecting that this game could be a problem?
No.
Okay. Here's what we know about ECU. They have a couple of guys coming back, some names you probably will recall. Their quarterback is a gentleman by the name of Holton Ahlers. We first got introduced to him, Mike. We played out there in 2018. That's the infamous Daryl Mack game. Maybe not infamous, but the game where Daryl Mack started and Mackenzie Milton just had warmed up on the sideline every series but never came into the game. Ahlers played well that day. I mean, I think we all kind of walked away impressed for a true freshman. He was poised and, he looked good. He had a decent year last year. I don't know what your stealing is for Holton Ahlers. He had 21 touchdowns, 10 interceptions. He's also kind of a threat to pull the ball down and run. He had 6 rushing touchdowns. Obviously, the ECU will go as far as he can take them. I think we thought he had promise. Again, last year maybe a bit of a regression. So we'll see how he's adjusted to year 2 of the new system. Again, if we want to be, I guess, on the positive side, we saw what year 2 in the system can do for some of our guys. We're seeing it right now with Dylan Gabriel. We obviously saw it previously with Mackenzie. So maybe this is the year 2 jump or spurt for Holton Ahlers. I guess we won't know until we see him on the field.
Right. He did seem more comfortable towards the end of the season. Maybe just being more familiar with the system. If you look at the numbers he put up in the last 5 games of the year, they're a lot better than the first 6 games. So he is a threat to run. He's a big kid. And I think we got to be careful with him around if they get into the red zone. He, like you said, I think he scored 6 touchdowns on the ground last year, ran for 359 yards. I think he led the team in rushing touchdowns.
That's correct.
So he's the threat when you get down close inside the 5. But 21 touchdowns last year, over 3,000 yards, good season. Nothing spectacular. I mean, he's not Dylan Gabriel. He's not Mackenzie Milton. But he's a good player. He is a lefty. Right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
We have a battle of lefties out there on Saturday. Decent player, and we'll see now. This is his 3rd year as a starting quarterback in college. So if the light's going to go on for him, and it's going to go on for him this year.
Well, he's got weapons on the outside. I would say the receiving core are probably names that you've heard in and around their program for a couple of years, highlighted by who's a true sophomore wide receiver named C.J. Johnson. This kid got a lot of love last year. I remember during the broadcast, I think it was Ross Tucker from CBS Sports, I think proposed marriage to him on the air because he talked about him so much. But, the kid's good, 6'2", 235. He's a big, strong kid. Then they have 2 other guys, 2 smaller guys. Taylor Sneed's only 5'7". I think he wears number 22, Mike. I remember him carving us up the middle a few different times. And then a kid by the name of Blake Prohl, if that sounds familiar. I think he is the son of former NFL receiver Ricky Prohl. He's 6'1", 185. So they do have some veteran guys coming back. Sneed's a redshirt sophomore, so his 3rd year. Prohl's a redshirt junior, so his 4th year. And obviously C.J. Johnson, a ton of talent on the outside, Mike. So if Ahlers can get the ball out, he's got people to throw it to.
That's right. Those guys put up some pretty decent numbers last year and spread across because Johnson had 54 catches, Prohl had 54 catches, and Sneed led the team with 66. So pretty balanced among those 3. And I don't know if I just feel old or time has just flown by that fast, but when I saw the last name Prohl, I said, oh, maybe that's Ricky Prohl's brother. And I Googled it, and it's his son.
Yes.
I didn't think Ricky Prohl is older than I thought, he was playing a lot longer ago than I remembered.
Yeah, we'll save the Ricky Prohl breakdown for a future episode. But if they're going to be successful, Mike, obviously, they need to get the ball to those guys. If they can do that, they're going to hopefully hold off pressure from UCF's defensive line, which means the offensive line is going to be of utmost importance, Mike. So I'm getting this information from their 24/7 sports site. It's called Hoist the Colors. There's a U in colors. I don't know why. And they're listing the depth chart for the upcoming game. And according to them, the right tackle for ECU is a kid named Bailey Malovic, if I'm pronouncing that correctly. And the stats here have him going 6'6", 257. And if you go to the left side of the line, they have a redshirt senior, Deontay Smith. He's weighing in at 274 pounds. Now they do have 300-plus guys sort of in the inside there, in the interior, but on the right and left, guys who are kind of smaller in size, Mike, which brings down their average weight on the offensive line. Again, don't know if any of that's true, but the offensive line certainly could be an opportunity for UCF to maybe get some pressure on Holton Ahlers and disrupt what they want to do offensively.
Definitely something to look for on Saturday. Randy Charlton and Tremont Morris Brash and Zayas, and those guys got to be licking their chops. I mean, just looking at on paper, who knows, like you said, who knows if it's true, if that's their actual weights. That's got to be one of the smallest offensive lines we're going to see all year. So maybe they